Hello there, fellow model makers, and welcome to the fifth part of the diorama build. It's time to start working on the diorama base now. I will be using this wooden board measuring about a square foot for the base. The contouring of the land will be done with this foam sheet, which appears to be about an inch thick. Step 1. Take some all-purpose glue and glue the foam to the board. The second piece is measured, cut and glued in place as well. Now we let this sit for a few hours till the glue sets. Time to plan the landscape. I draw the main features of the diorama, like the main path, the creek, and the place where the raised hills will go. Now I cut a piece of foam to size and shape it. I glue it in place. Now in hindsight, this was a minor mistake. I should have shaped the piece more and only then glued it. Shaping the pieces once they are in place is a little more difficult and time consuming. So from next time, shape first and then glue. Anyway, I use my styrofoam cutter and start shaping the pieces. As you can see, in my great excitement, I became impatient and started cutting even before the glue had set properly. This resulted in the pieces shifting from their place and having to be reset. Once again, this was more of an irritant than any serious goof up. I now smoothen the foam with some sanding sponges. I dig a shallow ditch where the water for the creek will go. Some more cutting and shaping, this time with a bigger knife and the foam cutter. Once this was done, I again smoothened the edges with a sanding sponge. The base was then left alone to dry. Now let's try our hand at making some rock faces. I got myself a couple of molds and decided to use sculptor mold to make the rock faces with, as I had seen in innumerable tutorials. But let me tell you this, it's harder than it looks. First 2 attempts I made, I put too much water in. And then became impatient when the mold would not set. Finally, on the 3rd attempt, more by accident than design, I did manage to make a set of decent rocks. All I can say is that this is definitely a process of trial and error. Right, with some rocks now ready, I decide where I would place them. Then, using a knife, I carve out the foam so that I get a relatively snug fit with the rocks. I glued the rocks in place with some all-purpose glue. And while that dried, I roughed up the main path the tank and the troops would be walking down. I now make a mix of half and half sculptor mold and water. This is then spread over the diorama base. Once most of the sculptor mold is in place, I filled the gaps around the rocks. I let the sculptor mold sit for a few minutes and then wetting my fingers with water, I smoothen it out. Since I want an overall muddy road effect, I add some more sculptor mold and make some tank tracks. To get a more real impression, I place a plastic sheet over the sculptor mold and then press down with my tank. This produces much more realistic tank tracks and I was happy with the result. To paint the base, I decided to use these two colors, earth brown and sand yellow from MIG. First, the earth brown. The main path and the side path are now highlighted with sand yellow. The creek is painted with Tamiya's flat brown. I first tried painting the rock faces by hand, but I was not really happy with the result. So out came the old airbrush and the rock faces were painted with XF63 German grey. Next, some dry brushing with XF66 light grey. Right then, our base is now complete. This is all the time we have for on this edition. I hope you liked the video. Please do like and subscribe. Next time we will add foliage to the diorama like grass and trees. as well as water in the creek. Till then, good luck and happy modeling.